Soon as I get home from work, I give you love. And
Okay.
look, this icon popped up and said, playing music? Set up professional audio settings. That's funny.
It's go auto tune for you. I guess you can quit your day job.
Welcome, everybody, to the first installment of Her Love and His Peace. I am the spoiler,
And I am yummy.
and we are doing this channel because we want to give everybody a little insight into ourselves and our relationship and kind of the things we do, and let everybody know that if you're in our age bracket, in your 50s and whatnot, and you come from that generation where you didn't do social media, well, social media wasn't a thing. And so we were always private people. You don't discuss certain things outside of the household. And now with the proliferation of social media, that's not necessarily the case no more. But we still find people in our age bracket and older who, y'all be all on that fake Facebook and book face and talking and ticking and all this other stuff and telling too much of your business. And some of that is definitely true. And then some of that is really, it doesn't make a difference who's coming to get you. So you have to weigh and measure social media for yourself. Um, there's always going to be detractors, and anytime you decide to go on social media and give a glimpse in yourself, whether it's fake or it's real, you're always going to have those people that are going to be keyboard gangsters and whatnot and drama. But again, that drama is what drives the social media era. Um, but there are good things that come out of social media. Um, there's some educational things that come out of social media. There's some things that you didn't know other people were going through the same thing, type of situation, support situation in social media. And that's primarily why I believe we do it for the support aspect of it. It's not to thumb it in somebody's face, not to be a negative thing either, but it's to have some fun, try to help and support people because we're both very helping people. And we also like information and we like to expand our knowledge base. Um, and so we want to share that with people, and hopefully they get some value out of it. And to those that are detractors to it or just want to be angry and mean in their own spirit, hey, may your God bless you, because they just ain't got time today. you know. So so we hope you join us on the journey and explore a lot of different things of love, life, and relationships. Some of our travels and journeys, and just some of our insight to living in. We have different backgrounds, but they're similarly to the generation, and I think some of it now the world looks totally different than maybe we would have envisioned for ourselves being in our 50s. And those things need to be talked about. I think our generation doesn't do enough of talk about how different the world is and managing and dealing with those type of things. So that's kind of the basis of where I come from with the idea of doing this um, series of videos with Miss Yummy there.
Correct. Whereas in we know back then the internet wasn't available when we first started out as youngsters, but now that we're older and like you say, putting all your business out. It's like, what are you hiding? Like you say, what are you hiding from? It's like, true enough, you don't want everybody in your relationship because you always gonna have that negativity coming at you, and it's like, "Ah, I don't want to hear that." Then we got our keyboard warriors who always want to just badmouth. So it's like, whatever. So hopefully you will join us on our journey on the Spoils Big Adventure is what I always call it. So here we
You call it
go.
what?
The Spoilers Big Adventure.
Why has it got to be the fullest big adventure?
Because it's always anytime we hang out, it's always an adventure with you.
Okay, you say so. I'm the
Okay,
least.
so it
Oh,
we don't have to call it that then.
you call it what you want to. See, this is the thing. So the gentleman out there, I'm gonna tell you this right up top, right? I've learned through having a background with women as far as I grew up with three sisters and a mom living in a household with these ladies. So I know the struggles of what this menopause thing looks like, right? And I'll tell you, I didn't know at the time what I was looking at. It took me to get into my adult age to kind of bump my head against the wall with this thing. And what dudes do, they bump their head against the wall with the ego thing. I'm the man and all that ego shit, right? So so they bump their head up against the wall. But see, now in my 50s, my late 50s, finna be 60s, I got the key to this thing. Right?
What's the
I
key?
finally got the key to this thing, right? And for you guys that are still scratching your head and thinking that you're going to fight this thing with your ego and your male chauvinistic things and all that shit there and this, that, and you're going to fucking lose. You're going to lose. At the end of the day, right? Just agree and run for cover.
It's not
Then
that
you
bad.
then you peek out every now and then and make sure everything is cool. And don't get me wrong, you're not getting your balls chopped off, right? You're just being strategic. You have to be strategic with this thing, right? That thing is a monster. I've watched it gobble up many dudes, hardcore dudes.
Menopause is
That,
not
that-
that
you're
You
correct.
don't have
Yep.
you don't you see, you do not
Yep.
have to agree with everything I say because I'm dealing with menopause. I'm
I
not
get it.
always right, but
Hmm.
you know, I guess maybe at the end of the day it does kind of keep the peace because with menopause we do go through all the different mood changes, mood swings. One minute we hot, one minute we cold, one minute we happy, we crying. It can change in the blink of an eye, but it's not that bad that you don't have to agree with everything. You don't. You can
Okay.
have an opinion.
Yeah,
Stop it.
definitely, definitely. I have opinions. I get it. But you imagine a young lad, myself, dealing with these four females with this thing, right? And then I've watched it unfold live and in person in another setting. And now, my young self, I'm looking back at my young self. I'm like, that's what that shit was. Nobody told me. Nobody warned me. I didn't get no warning.
It's not that bad.
I, it was that bad. It may not be that bad in your case. It was that bad in my case. I'm
No,
traumatized by this thing. You say those words. Yeah,
my
I can
my
say-
son made it through. He's
exactly.
dealing with me, but I guess to your point, I have realized when I be talking to him, he just sit there like, "Yep, okay."
Hmm. See, he got smart. College
No,
dude,
I
smart. He got smart.
no.
Yeah.
I need conversation.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Right. Right. He knows. He knows.
but
Right.
it's
He
funny. It's
understands.
funny. It's funny you say that though, because he does that to me, my sister, and my mom. It's like Yep. Or he just sit there and look at me. I'm like, is you gonna say something? Well, what do you want me to say? I'm like, say something.
Mhm. He probably
But then
read up on it. My man.
whatever, because then it get frustrating because it's like he just sit there like, yep. hmm
Uh
Or he just sit there and look at me. Even with you,
huh.
you anything I say, you just like, yep, okay, yep, yep. No, that's not always the answer to my questions.
Answer the questions.
Answer the question. Just
I
answer the
do
question.
answer. I do answer the questions.
Okay, let me ask you this question then. Do
Okay.
you think I've gained weight?
Do I think you've gained weight? No.
Yes.
No.
See, there you go. Well, that part might be true. Do you think I'm fat?
Do I think you're fat? No.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Mhm. You
Do you
you
think
want to
I
keep
Yeah,
do
do you think I need to go to the gym?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I had to get it in.
Consistently going to the gym is to me a a thing that we all need to do because we live a very sedentary lifestyle.
Correct.
So it's not
I do.
just you, it's we all do. I just went today. So that's why I'm
I,
dressed in my gym gear.
I guess I'll let you slide on that one then.
There you go. See, the spoilers in
Well,
the house. I'm doing what I
no,
do.
I don't know. We gonna catch you slipping.
You may,
At,
you may.
at some point in this conversation, I'm gonna catch you slipping. We'll have some type of
Sure.
disagreement.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So to give you
Can't get
folks some background, uh, we live in different cities, as you see that we're on video chat here. And I thought that we had very interesting conversations, especially because of the backgrounds that we have growing up. She comes from a very religious background. I come from a religious kind of background.
You said kinda. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a mix of different things.
Compared
Uh,
to mine.
right, but the time frame and the eras are similar, even though I'm a little older and she's the youngster of the group here, right? And the idea of having a distance relationship is not a new idea, but with the rise of mediums like this, video chatting and texting and FaceTiming and Google this and all that shit, um, leads to bringing the distance relationship thing closer. So I was looking on the good interweb there and came across an article or video that had they were highlighting different types of living situations. Nowadays they have to give a fucking title to everything. It's a distance relationship. As you know, whether you're married or committed in some way or whatever, it's still the same thing. But they got to call it all kinds of little sweet titles and shit like that. Now, ain't my thing. It's a distance relationship. But they were highlighting famous people who had different distance relationships, and then they had some average Joes in there that had different relationships for different reasons, whether a job or or just kind of living arrangements because of different life choices or whatnot. And so they were highlighting that, and I just thought it was an interesting video that this because I guess because of how media runs now, everything is overhyped and hyped up. But this thing they've been hyping up and talking about on different news venues for the last 4 or 5 years, and I saw a ton of videos on YouTube uh, regarding the subject, and I thought it was a good topic for us to talk about because we've been doing this for a while. And I've moved from one state to another, also, which in my eye, I think was helping the situation more, uh, to 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 be better, I guess, you know. So the background part of it is he's in Michigan and I'm in Wisconsin, but when we first started, I was in Tennessee. And so there was a lot of back and forth on her part. Um, and, I would occasionally, come through or whatever. And so moving to Wisconsin to me was my ideal of making it a little better. And before you ask why I didn't move to Michigan, but Michigan because Michigan is a strange ass state. You know, it's, it's a bunch of state. One thing about I grew up in Wisconsin. I thought Wisconsin was strange, and it is. Every state has its quirks. So for everybody to get on the goddamn keyboard and be talking about how every state has its quirks. Every state has its laws that are just bizarre to me. But it took me to move and live somewhere else for a number of years to realize how bizarre some of these states are. It just their laws and all that kind of just what the fuck are y'all doing? What you know? So that's why I didn't move to Michigan because it was our ass state.
Michigan is not that bad. I was
I
born
didn't
and
I
raised
didn't
in Michigan.
I didn't say Michigan was bad. I did not say
It's
Michigan was bad.
it
I just
I
said it's a little bit bizarre than what I'm used to. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I'm not waving the Wisconsin flag. It's just what I've been conditioned to.
yeah. Well,
Right.
you adjust to Michigan. It get We have four seasons just like Wisconsin. You
Right.
have summer, spring, winter, summer, spring, summer, fall, and winter all in one day. Wisconsin has the same thing.
It can be that way. It can be, but it's not often like that. So the thing about it is that I live in a little bit bigger city. She lives in a very small city. And so in visiting that small city, yeah, um,
You you found it amusing. It has a lot of
most small towns are amusing.
it has potential.
Here's the thing that get me about small town people though. Like everything is just down the goddamn street. But they talk about it like it's a fucking 10-mile drive to get to. I guess I gotta go to Kroger. Oh,
Well,
Kroger's like 5 blocks. They talk about like Kroger's a 20-mile drive somewhere. Oh,
here's the
I gotta put
thing.
some clothes on and go to Kroger. And that's every small city I've been into. Well, I guess I gotta go over here.
Well, it beats it. True enough, it's not far away, but I'd rather not have to get on the expressway to go to Kroger or the expressway to go somewhere. It's like,
I hear
yeah,
you.
so it's not that bad. Do I complain about it? Yeah, I do complain about it because
Mhm.
the fact is, like, oh man, I gotta put some clothes on, and then you gotta deal with traffic. True enough, it's only about 5 minutes away. I get that, but it's like you gotta just think about, I'm tired, I'm being lazy that day, or whatever the case may be. I don't want to go that far. I want it to be a lot more convenient
What
than,
you want it to be next door to your house?
if possible. I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah,
But
I get
I,
I feel
I get
you.
what you're saying. Like when I come visit you, there's some stuff, some stores that's right there that's very convenient. But
Right.
then there's other places that I enjoy that we gotta drive to.
Sure.
It's still not a long drive. It's been what, about 20 minutes, but some days it's like, Whew, if we was in Saginaw, we would be there already.
I get it. So, what's your view of the distance relationship? Um, and for you that haven't seen that particular video, I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube video for that. I think it was an ABC story. So, what's your view regarding that particular situation as regard to how you saw the video? Once you saw the video, what did you think about what we were doing in relation to that?
Um, First of all, I'd never expected to be in a long distance relationship. But it happened. But then after watching that video, um, I actually could go for it. After, after some of the things I've been through in life, it's like, okay, after being, I should say, I don't know if I want to say, yeah, I just put it like that. After being single for so long, I got accustomed to doing stuff my way, living a certain way. And could I appreciate? Yeah, I can, but then I like the closeness too. I like the cuddling and waking up, being able to have conversations, sitting up at night having conversations. I like the companionship more. But there is some days so I was like, yeah, I could still do this long distance. It's like he lived there, I live here, and we have this great relationship. But then there's some nights is like, or some days I'd be like, oh man, I wish he was here, or I wish I was there. But the video, it kind of made sense. Um, I don't know.
Well,
It's
some of those
that's
people were high profile people. They both had high profile jobs. I think one was an actress out in Hollywood. The other one was a politician on the other side of the country. You know,
exactly. Exactly. Well, and see, the distance between us isn't bad. It's since your move, it has made it a lot easier for me to go, do my back and forth, or for either one of us to do our back and forth compared to where you were in the beginning. But there was some regular people that was on there that actually ended up moving next door to each other. It's actually a good video. I like the video. And there
gotcha.
are people that live like 3 hours away. So,
And you
could
would
I do
think
it?
that the 3 hours away, those people would kind of fill up that gap.
You would think so, but and for like, for them, they didn't really have a reason to even be that far away because they wasn't saying it was about the job. But for me, like I say, some days I feel I could do that. Would I try it? I guess with us being the way we are right now, we already in a committed relationship and we already living apart. Those people, not all of them, some of them was married, but I was watching that video and a part they brought up was like far as what's the difference between being in a committed relationship, living together, and uh being in a committed relationship and not living apart. They brought up a lot of things as far as insurance and stuff. I still say um we already doing that, living apart in a
Well,
committed relationship.
right. But as far as insurance, as far as what? As far as like health insurance and stuff like that?
Well, the state or these insurances have different policies.
Hmm.
Even with my company that I work for, I can have a domestic partner as long as we have the same address,
Okay.
my insurance will cover you.
Hmm.
But by you having a separate address, it won't cover you. And it's like, what's the difference between I know they say it could be some fraud, but either way it go, you could still just say you got my address to get some because some people need insurance. Not saying you, but some people need insurance, so they still could say, "Oh yeah, I live there just to get the insurance." So it's like, why does it make a difference if I put you down as my domestic partner?
Mm.
Why wouldn't it be okay?
And I think some of that is a carryover from back in the day. It was just automatically assumed, uh, policies were different back in the day. It was somebody was on your policy, they were your dependent,
Mm,
one way or another. And the distance thing, I don't think was much as an issue. And as the world evolved into domestic partners, because it used to be if person was on your insurance, you were married,
right,
or they were some dependent of some kind, So then
right.
with the advent of having domestic partners one way or another, um, has changed that landscape, so to speak. So insurance companies being in the business for profit, um, they have to sculpt those rules to kind of fit those dynamics while keeping their bottom line together, I guess.
Okay.
Or for I don't know. I'm just guessing at it because everything revolves around fucking bottom line, you know.
True. But back to your original question, how do I feel about that video? I like it. I would try it. But like I said, it's not something that we're already doing. You live there, I live here. Would
Mm.
I prefer to be closer? Yeah, I would. So, I mean, until
Well,
circumstances change.
right, right, and that it's one of those situations to where if you have to if you're thinking about doing is not impossible, and
Correct. It's
that
not.
becomes the relationship support thing on our end. It's not impossible, and um, I think you have to be realistic about your situation, you know, um, and be realistic about where you are in life. If you're, um, that can be hard for people that are heavily into their careers and
Correct.
growing their careers. Um, some people don't want to start a family right away, and have that kind of thing. I know some young people that having a family is not on their radar at all. They're not
Ex-
trying to get slowed down at all, but they're progressively pursuing their careers. And when you're doing that, you leave your resume open to the next opportunity, you
Mhm.
know, because
Mm.
this thing isn't like when we came up. You get someplace and you stay there for whatever, but all that shit's gone now,
Yeah, it
or
is.
just about gone. And there's there's for my younger nieces and nephew, I'm telling them, go out there and get your money, and there's a lot of older people that hate on young people for doing that, but the landscape has changed for them.
It has.
So they have to do that. They're not going to have that 25-year, 30-year job to where they're going to be able to get the gold watch and all that shit. Companies are not doing that anymore. So these
They're
people, young people, will have to be aggressive. I try to explain that to my sister, and she ain't hearing it. But she comes from a baby boomers generation.
right.
That was ingrained in them. That was ingrained in us, and I'm glad it's not ingrained in them, because if they stick with that mindset, they're gonna miss it,
Yeah.
and then they potentially could have the downfall of where some of us are sitting, where we're still working after you retired after 1, 2. I know a couple of people retired from a couple of different jobs, and they're still working because the landscape of things have changed, and it gets to be a bitter pill, because
Yeah.
it's not looking like it did in the previous generation, you know.
Yeah.
So, but relationship wise, you have to take all of that in account for especially for young folk or especially for anybody. You have to take all of that in account. You know, how aggressive you want to be in your career. Do you want a family right away or not? You know, no one can answer those questions, but you and the other person that you're involved with. You know,
Right. Yeah, I still say like for the living apart though, our original conversation, it for us older people, it has its advantages, but then it also have its disadvantages. I mean, because the advantages of it is you got the companionship, you're not there alone, just in case, some health issues may arise, you're not alone. There's somebody
mhm.
there to help you. Uh, but then you also got to remember us old people. Well, I'm not as old as you, but us,
What? Are you catching some strays in this motherfucker? What's the
us
so?
old people, us older, us a mature. I put it like this: us mature
Mm-hmm.
people are kind of set in our ways. So it's like, it's like, okay, I've been doing this for a while. I don't need no parenting telling me, oh well, you need to pick this up. You need to do this. You need. Nah, I don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like washing dishes. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like cleaning. And if I live by myself, I ain't got to worry about that. But then, when you living together, there comes chores. It's like, oh man, you ain't used to all that nagging. It's like, if I want to stay in the bed all day, I can. If I don't, but
That's
living
a,
with,
that's the thing. Like I said, if you're a guy and you recognize these things, keep that shit moving. You don't sit there and that's not fight time. That's keep that shit moving time. That's
well,
it's survival, gentlemen. It's all about survival.
it is, but that, that can go the other way too, because some funny men. Let me give you, I don't. Let me think. What's a good way to say they? Some tend to let their female tendencies come out when they being a little picky. Oh, you ain't doing it. Wait a minute, Mister. Calm down. I ain't trying to hear all that today. And that's because it could have a lot to do with their upbringing. And they feel, okay, well, my mama used to get up and do this for your daddy. Well, I ain't your mama. How about that? But that's just me. I can't speak for everybody else. So
I get
anyway,
it.
but I think,
Yeah.
I think it can work. But like I say, we doing it already. So you living there, I'm living here, and who knows? Who knows what the future may hold? I may move closer, or you may move to Michigan.
At any rate,
Hee haw.
to all my Michigan people, hey, hey, not not knocking your punk ass state, but at the end of the day, it's a great place for great scenery, great activities. Outdoors is phenomenal there. You know, uh, they get most of the major shows and whatnot. And we stayed at a hotel down in Detroit that was for how we designed the trip was very nice. Maybe we'll do a video, and I've still got pictures and stuff. And be one of the adventure videos we'll put up.
It
Right?
was very nice.
Yeah.
It was a nice outing in Michigan.
Yeah.
See, Michigan ain't all bad.
So yeah, I said it was. It's just they got
I mean,
they're just strange laws there. Do you think it's important to have a self commitment in a relationship? my background idea on this question. When you talk about relationships and stuff like this, and everybody's got this list of things that they negotiables, non-negotiables, red flags, all this stuff, that they have these criterias of what they think is going to work for them in a relationship. Well, and some of them have a, we all have a preference of our person, what draws us to a person, a muscular build, a big booty, some big titties, or, or whatever. We all have a physical idea of what we think is cute and nice looking and handsome and all that stuff. But I've rarely heard of wanting somebody that has a health mindset or a health commitment or being healthy. Um, yeah, we all want somebody that's in shape, so to speak,
Right.
but specifically having a health commitment to it.
Hmm.
And do you think that's important?
I would
That's a question.
say yes. I wouldn't necessarily say a commitment, but be conscious about your health.
Mhm.
I mean, because you don't want to get with somebody who just don't care at all. Not saying that you got to be this fitness guru or be a size 5 or size 0, and he don't have to have all these muscles, but just be a little self-conscious about your health, you know, regular doctor visits. um it don't hurt to go and work out 2 3 times a week. That's, but because it's like it's a commitment. I wouldn't say, yeah, well, that's still being a commitment because that's being self-conscious about your health. So yeah, you just want somebody that's willing to take care of their body to actually to have some type of longevity of, because you don't want to get with somebody and they know they're not taking care of their body properly, they're not doing what's right, and then you get connected and, as some say, you fall in love, and then the year later you down and out and you can't do nothing, and it's like nobody signs up for that. You want to have some joyous years with a person that you're really into. You want to be able to go and do something, and if you're not taking care of your body, then you'll never, or your health, you'll never do that.
The reason I bring that up is because of, and this is part of us talking about the relationship support aspect of what we're talking about here. The Because we are getting older, there's always unforeseen circumstances. There's always things in life that just happens that you can't control, right?
Correct.
But as we've gotten older, we should have the understanding that there are things that we can, the odds in our favor on. And a
Right.
lot of times, being older, we negate that because of habit, lack of discipline, and then we just continue down a road that is physically and mentally unhealthy just because that's what we've been doing,
Hmm.
you know. And so what I appreciate is that you understand my drive to always wanting to be healthy, and I'll try out things to see if there's some kind of health benefit there for me, and you try different things and open to that. And I appreciate that because I've experienced where the other person has been closed off to being healthy, not for me, but for their own health.
Hmm.
And therefore having that kind of commitment to yourself, um, to me is important. And that's why I brought up the question, because sometimes we do things and we're not realizing that we're doing it. Yes,
Hmm.
there is a health commitment, to
Hmm.
yourself, to being healthy and trying different things and not just settling for, well, this is the way I've always done it and it's worked, because we all know our body changes over time. But for those out there listening, ask yourself, is that important in your relationship, like all the other things, a person being stable, a person having a job or having income, or a person that is, a God-fearing or a church person or this, that, and the other. Is that in your list of things? Now that I brought up the question, should you add that to your list of things if you are in on the market or in the market? Of
Okay.
criteria things for people, for of what you're looking for. This is something to consider. I'm not saying that you have to do anything I say, but to me, I think it's something to consider, especially when you get older.
I agree. And see, like for example, I started on a fitness or I committed to myself for a healthy living. And it was before I met you, but it was after I lost my brother at a young age to a heart attack, and so I'm like, oh no, I gotta start doing something different for my health. So then I got into it, but then I started letting different things take away my priority. They started interfering with my exercise and working out and doing all this extra stuff to where I stopped. But then when you have someone to like motivate you or are on the same thing of wanting to have a healthy life, it does make it a lot easier to do it
Sure.
compared to, and like you say, you try a lot of things you throw at me and I try it. And it's far as we're trying to do work together on staying healthy. So here it is. So like for example, you sent me the article about okra water. I don't eat okra. It's nasty. It's like, and I can't say it's really nasty because I did try it once. I was younger, but when you kids, ew, that's nasty. So I never tried it anymore. But like now,
Mhm.
I started, after watching the video you sent me, I started on the okra water. I watched it because it named off quite a few benefits that help me, that will help me because well, because you've been around, I injured my knee. And so, and plus getting older, you have a lot of inflammation. And you're like, where all this coming from? You start retaining more water. And so I started, I want to say maybe about 10 days ago, drinking the okra water. And some people will say, ew, that's nasty. Like, it's not nasty. What I do, I go get me some fresh okra, wash it, chop it up, put it in a jar. I got a 16-ounce jar. Um, I put some lemon or some lime in there. And so far, I've been doing pretty good. There's my inflammation because my ankle's been was swelling a lot. It's been giving me little bit more pressure off my knees because I'm not swelling as much. So, as far as that commitment to healthy living, yeah, I would say you would need a commitment but the commitment is easy to make when you got some support behind you.
Well, yeah. The so clarification for the folks out there, the video um is on YouTube and is by Dr. Price, who is an actual doctor. He's more into uh, natural foods, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, that kind of thing, greens. The he's got a video that talks about okra water and the benefits of okra water. I'll link for you YouTubers. I'll link the video in the description of the of this video here, so that you can click on the link to the video and actually watch the video yourself. And so he talked about the benefits of okra water. And like she said, I always share videos of stuff that I find. And while I didn't try okra water, I'm letting her do her thing because there's things that I try that she doesn't try, and we compare notes back and forth. So one of the benefits is reduced inflammation, correct?
Correct.
That's basically what you're saying. It kind of reduced the inflammation on your knees and the swelling in your ankles.
Correct.
So
Correct.
your process is, how much do you buy at one time?
I actually buy a pound of it.
A
A
pound.
pound of fresh. Yeah, now it's hard for me being in a small town. It's hard for me to find it,
Mhm.
but I do find it, and I buy a pound of it and I chop it up and go from there.
So you chop it up into small bits, or how you
I do um I want to say maybe about not really big, but I want to say about a third, maybe a little smaller.
Mhm.
It all depends on it. It will probably all depend on what size jar you have. Cause I don't do it. I don't measure how big it is, but I don't want real big chunks. So I make them a reasonable size. They're not like a half inch or they're very small. I would even say about maybe 2 centimeters.
Okay. So how much do you even them out, and how many glasses?
I have 5 jars and I put about 5 to 6 okras in each jar.
Okay. And then you fill that with water.
I fill that with water and I let it sit overnight. And the next morning, I drink it. I drink mine with a straw because it goes down a lot easier. It doesn't have a taste because when I add the lime or the lemon to it, I taste that more than anything. But when I first tried it without the lime, it's just like drinking water. Now, don't get me wrong. The first time I drunk it, the first swallow kind of gagged me because I knew it was thick. But then after that, once I got past the mental portion of it, I was good. I drink it like it's a regular cold glass of water. Because what I used to do, I used to drink a liter of water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Just drink. But now I do the okra water.
So that's a 5 day rotation with the 5 glasses, correct?
Correct.
What size of glass? 16 ounce?
16 ounce. 16
And you
ounce mason jar.
and you fill it to the rim.
I do.
Okay, so now you recycle that for another 5 days, correct?
Correct. Because
And
I get another full session, another dosage of, yeah, another 5 days.
all right, so you got a 10-day cycle going on with one batch of 1 pound okra chopped up evenly.
Correct. I won't
Okay.
necessarily say it's even, but yeah, it's chopped up.
As even
That's
even as
that's
you,
the
the
best I
eyeball
can
can
do
get
it.
it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
That's when I'm wearing all four of them. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And 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 how long you been doing this for?
10 days.
10 days.
10 days.
Okay. And so far, so good.
So far.
We'll make a video and actually show the glasses and maybe her taking a sip of one in the future days to see if she continues on this path. She'll give you some updates as to how's it going and uh other things that she noticed because he listed in his video and he actually did a part two of the video uh stating what his results were after 10 days and let's see we can compare notes and see if she has similar effects if with her journey. So here on Her Love, His Peace, we have a shoe addiction problem. It is a very a big problem here, a shoe problem. Uh, it's a relationship issue that we're trying to work through. And until we get to major breakthroughs, what we'll do is give you an overview of some of the shoes and stuff that equipment that we use and issues that we find, worthy of whether or not you should buy them or not. So one of the first shoes that we want to bring to you is the Air Vapor Max Plus. It's a Nike shoe. I don't know if you can see that focusing camera, right?
Yes, yes.
And it probably was backwards on there. This is a size 10. That's my size. She also has the same shoe. Mine's is in a black color, and she has multiple of these shoes, right? And why do you have multiples?
I have because I like variety and this is a very comfortable shoe. Especially running through the airport. But it's a very comfortable shoe and I like I said, variety. I got this pair because I like blue. So I'm like, I gotta have it. But then I have black and then I have white. My final pair will be red. But I don't know because they got some pink ones too. It all depends on what the sale may be. So I can't say.
Right, we only buy them if they're on sale because this is an expensive shoe. And as
Indeed.
you can see, the bottom is very non-traditional. And I was worried about whether or not it was too bouncy or you would rock too much in the shoe. The shoe itself has this cradle along the sides. It's got this plastic cradle, as you can see. It's encased in this cradle, and the air unit is not so bouncy that it hurts my knees. It works well for your knees. That's why you bought the shoe, correct?
Correct.
The problem I have with this shoe, the overall length fits fine. It's right in the width, right across here is very tight. And I figured out why it was so tight. If you look at the insole of this shoe, because you have the, you see how it cradles itself too? And it's really thin, but it cradles it enough. And this shoe is narrow enough right in there to where um, it kind of affects my fit. And I don't believe buying a longer size will help that. So what I'm going to do is buy an insole that is just as thick as this, but it is flat all the way through and it won't have this curve shape. So it'll be flat all the way through. And therefore, when I put it in the shoe, it'll be kind of like the stroller board there. And because of how the shoe is situated on the outside, this acts as arch support in a lot of shoes. The cradle itself, the shoe cradle itself, is the arch support. So you don't necessarily need an insole that has this large arch support, and this insole is nothing to write home about anyway. It's crappy insole.
Yeah. But for me,
So
it works fine.
it works fine because, and so I don't have a wide foot. If you are a wide foot person, this may not be the shoe for you because it is not situated for a wide foot. And I don't have a very wide foot, but this insole right in here on both sides are going to disappear for me. And that's going to give me just enough room to make this thing a very comfortable shoe. How much does this shoe retail for? It's like 200 and something bucks,
210
210. But like I said, we bought them on sale. We'll buy them on sale.
on sale.
We'll not pay resale or over retail for these things. But they're nice shoe. I
Yeah.
like the style. You know, um, I still wish they bring back leather shoes. They need to go kill some cows. But you know, well, you
It's
eating
funny
the
you say
hamburgers
that.
anyway, so
My sister is talking about shoes because she got
right.
some new shoes. She's like, she was saying how comfortable her shoe is, but she wish it was leather because the minute it get wet, her feet get cold.
Ah, yeah. That everybody trying to save the trees, the animals, and everything else, but they ain't stop eating them damn steaks. So whatever. Oh, I forgot they factory grown eating the factory grown steak. So whatever. But
Yeah.
at any rate, uh, that's my recommendation for the shoe. If you're gonna buy this shoe, first buy it on sale. Second, if you have a wide foot or your balance is challenged in any way, you may not want to get it because it's rounded off.
Right.
If you don't have a wide foot in the heel area, you should be okay. Or if you're like me, where this remember this shoe runs a little narrow. So that's the Vapor Max there. Its shoe's been around for a while, and they've even got a fly knit version of it that doesn't have this cage around it. So, check them out if you choose to. I don't know if I'm gonna work out on these. I think these are just gonna be a fashion statement for me, like I'm some kind of fashion animal here. But I think these are gonna be a fashion statement going out in my steppers when I'm stepping out on the scene. This is that's what it's gonna be for me. So
Exactly.
that's our shoe problems for this week. We've got way more to come with that.
Oh, we do. And it's all his fault. Because his
Yeah.
excuse is if it's on sale, why not buy it? If you think you like it, buy it. And it's like, I don't need no more shoes. But
Got got to double up. Sneakerheads, you got to double up. You know, you're sneakerhead.
no,
You got to double
no.
up, or get your colors. Because again, they fall out of fashion so quick as far as the company changes with the seasons on some of these models so quick. You'll have a good fitting shoe, and the older I get, the shoes and socks are issues for me. Good fitting, well made shoes and socks are becoming a scarcity here. So you find something that works, you better double up, get all the
Yeah,
colors,
no,
get them
no,
while they on sale. Get them while they on
no.
sale.
I need no more shoes.
There's a video with Ryan Johnson, the guy who is into age reversing, and he's got a movement called Don't Die. He was talking to a gentleman in a podcast. He's being interviewed. And one of the things that he touched on is his own mental health status and relationship. And he didn't go into heavy detail, but he talked about how he was so depressed for a long period of time, even though he had money
Mm-hmm.
and a company that was financially doing well. And it took him to, he had sold that company and got a divorce. And one of the things he imparted that was for his mental health, he realized that he struggled in his relationship in building that company and with his religion. And he talked about how we underestimate the power of a bad relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And and the way I internalize that is I use the relationship word in a broad spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So a relationship is not only the partner that you with, a
Correct.
relationship is all of the relationship. Your job that you have, there's a relationship there with the people at that job and that job. There's a particular relationship for you. There's a relationship for you with relatives and people in that are close in your life. You have a certain relationship with them. There's relationships with um, any kind of extracurricular activities that you have and that you do and that you perceive. All these things are relationships to me. The pursuit in the social media realm for me is a relationship. And so I in conference the word relationship in a broad term, and some people don't get it. But his point was people undervalue or they dismiss the power of a bad relationship. And so when I take that, I look at jobs that I've had that I've just absolutely hated,
Mm-hmm.
a relationship being in a long term that just turned to disaster, and you have a relationship with friends in that at some point the relationship shifted to where and it's easier to just not deal with some relationships. You can just not deal with some people, you know,
Right.
but when it's your marriage or your job, it's not easy to just not deal with it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to deal with it.
Mhm.
And so the guy asked him how, so when he did all of that, did he instantly become not depressed anymore or whatever? And the guy said it took about a year
Mhm.
to where he started to come around and come out of that. And I related that to as the recovery. And the interviewer was asking, he was thinking maybe it would be kind of instantaneous, and I was like thinking no, because of the simple fact that everybody heals differently.
Correct.
Everybody recovers on a different scale. Um, there's no time, and I didn't like that when I was going through things with people with bullshit comments like, "Oh, just get over it," or somebody's got to lose," or of course, people like that I don't have in my life anymore. But there is no just get over it. A person has to reconcile that thing because that's permanently a part of them. And I'm not saying um, you should use that as an excuse, but that's a permanent part of your life, whether you were there 1 year, 1 day, or 30 years.
Correct.
How you're going to reconcile that and move forward is on your time. It's not on somebody's fancy where you got 6 months to get your shit together or just it's truly on your time. And I think a lot of people, one, make the mistake of not recognizing how much a bad relationship in any form does damage to you, both mentally and physically, and they don't take the proper time to reconcile that thing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I always say you got to forgive yourself first.
Exactly. You do.
And yeah, and sometimes in this shit you do some fucked up shit, you know. Uh especially depending on what type of job you're in, what type of relationship status that you're dealing with. But you gotta forgive yourself first, irregardless if the other person or the other entity never forgives you, because a job can never forgive you. Um, and people don't think that, but move on from a job and then try to get another job,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
First thing they'll be saying is that person was a bad worker, that person this, that, and the other person that, and blah, blah, blah. That job is never going to take the responsibility for their own workplace,
Yeah.
you know. So you decide to move on to another job, they're never going to say, well, we got a crappy work system here, so
No,
that
right.
person wasn't necessarily gonna, you know what I'm saying? So what is that? That's a job not forgiving you, you
Yeah.
know. And so you can have that in any other relationship, you know. It's just something you have to deal with. And I know people don't look at it in those terms, but I'm here to give you a different, unique view of looking at life anyway. So, um, that was my thought on his video. And the comment came into a larger scale video that they were talking about different health things, but that little snippet stuck out to me, in talking about underestimating the power of a bad relationship.
Mhm.
You know,
And the, yeah, being in a bad relationship can cause you to react to a lot of different things in life. It can change your whole outlook on different things, regardless to, like you say, what type of relationship it could be. It could be marriage, dating, a job, family. Things happen to where you do have to just, you have to forgive and move on because you know they're not going to forgive. Like you say, for a job may be toxic, cause you to change your whole attitude. And when you go and apply for another job, they was like, well, why did you leave there? And the job would never tell you that they made it toxic or it was a hostile environment or they didn't do something right that you needed or they didn't give you all the proper tools you needed to do the job. They'll never they'll never take responsibility for their portion of it. And then the same way with a bad relationship, you got two people in a relationship. Like they say, there's always three sides to a story. You got your story, her story, or his story, and the truth. So it's like I'm gonna tell my version of it. He gonna tell his version of it. But then it's like where the truth lies at in this, because I can say, oh, he was a bad person, and it could be only because maybe I was going through early or as they would say perimenopause but and he didn't have the skills to say yes, yes, yes. So anyway, I wasn't, but at the time I could say he was a bad person, he could say I was a bad person, but it's like, did you bring that bad person out of me because of, was I just reacting to your actions, or was I just being that type of a person? So it's like people can cause you, or relationships can cause you to act a certain way, even with family. Family can, whereas though they may think they're treating you right, but at the end of the day, sometimes, and they may know too that it's like, okay, y'all know y'all ain't being right, and you you don't want to apologize because you feel you ain't did nothing wrong, but you know you've done something wrong. It's like, it's just, people can make, there's always a, I'm gonna just end it with this, there's always a reaction to an action.